I'm Amy Nuttall. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Pastor Robert's wife. Our family is just like each of you. We go through many ups and downs in our lifetime. We have marriages, anniversaries, birthdays, graduations, vacations, careers. However, our lives are also filled with things like divorce, death, illness, addiction, loss of employment, and the list can go on and on. A little over a year ago, in February 2015, I had a routine doctor's appointment, and one of my tests came back abnormal. So my doctor asked me if she could do a biopsy, and I agreed. The doctor didn't seem worried about the biopsy, and in fact, in 2012, I had the same type of biopsy done, so I was very familiar with the procedure. However, this time, 2 days later, I got the phone call. You know, the one where they tell you, "Good morning, Amy," and they act like everything is fine. And then they tell you that the doctor needs to see you. And you ask, "Okay, what time?" And they tell you now. And you say, "Yeah, but what time's my appointment?" And they tell you, "We need you to come in right now." Let me just tell you, when you get that phone call, it tells you everything. They have no problem telling you good news over the phone. So it's very clear what it means when they tell you that they need to see you in person right now. I called Robert, I asked him to meet me at the doctor's office, and he agreed. It wasn't going to be good. When we arrived, they didn't take me to an exam room. They took me to the actual doctor's office, her personal office. Once again, another sign, this isn't good news. When the doctor came in, she was very factually told me that my biopsy came back with adenocarcinoma cervical cancer. My initial reaction was to cry. It was a good thing that Robert was in the room because all I could focus on was the word cancer, so he heard the rest of the story for me. My doctor referred me to an oncologist in Sugar Land who saw me the following Monday. And in the meantime, we had scheduled a second opinion with MD Anderson for the following Tuesday. We went to the oncologist on Monday, and he, like my doctor, didn't see anything abnormal in the visual exam. On Tuesday, we went to MD Anderson. It took the doctors a little less than 5 seconds to see exactly where the problem was. It was clear at that point we would be staying at MD Anderson for treatment. I was diagnosed that day at MD Anderson with stage 1B1 adenocarcinoma cancer. In the cancer world, that's an early stage. However, it doesn't make the diagnosis any less scary. But at least we were dealing with a small amount of cancerous tissue, and it seemed we had caught it very early. MD Anderson performed the surgery the first part of March to remove the cancer. When we went to get the results of the surgery, I was told I had positive margins. It means they didn't get all the cancer out on the first try. I had to heal for 6 weeks from that surgery, and they did a second surgery the end of April. And once again, we got the results that I had positive margins. They didn't get all the cancer. So this little cancer now didn't seem so little. How can you cut on my body 3 times, including the biopsy, and still not get it all? My team of doctors decided the next best step would be to have a radical hysterectomy, which includes all the female parts being removed, including the lymph nodes and all of the tissue. I had that surgery on June 9, 2015. This time, when we went back to the doctor's office, I was declared cancer-free and put into remission status. However, you aren't officially out of the woods with cervical cancer until you go 5 years without the cancer coming back. So every 3 months I go back to MD Anderson and I get checked, and I will do so until 2020. Thankfully, during this season of my life, I had Jesus to rely on and this church. It's the first time in my life where I really spent a tremendous amount of time talking to Jesus. I found myself talking to him in the middle of the night, during the day, morning, dinner. I just spent a lot of time in prayer. It was also the first time when people said to me, "I will pray for you," where I really questioned, are they really praying for me? Or are they just giving the standard Christian response when you hear something bad is happening to someone? Because I really needed prayer, and it really made me question, are they praying for me really? Or are they just saying that? I began to wonder how many times did I say that to someone, but I didn't actually pray. And unfortunately, it was more than I wanted to admit. Apriltown Church is filled with men and women who love the Lord and truly mean it when they say that they will pray for you. I got cards and notes from people, many of them I had never even met in person, all telling me that they were praying for me. Each time I went into surgery, I was covered in this blanket that Whitney's going to show you. It's a blanket my mom made for me, and the colors represent cervical cancer. But all over the blanket are prayer verses that people prayed for me. These are people who actually spent time writing down a prayer and a verse and sending it to my mom, who incorporated the verses into this blanket. Do you know how powerful it is to be laying in a hospital bed, wheeled down the hall for surgery, and to actually be literally covered in prayer? It's amazing. My first surgery, they left the blanket on me all the way into the operating room, and the anesthesiologist bent down to my ear and said, "I have to do this very quietly because it's not allowed." And she prayed her favorite prayer verse over me, and then moments later, I went to sleep. Do you know how amazing it is to experience the presence of God in that room, and to have the last thing that I heard before I went to sleep to be a prayer to God from me, from someone I didn't even know? I could go on and on about me and my experiences, but what I really want you to take away from this is the importance of having a church body to rally around you in both the good times and the bad times. A church family to celebrate the births and the weddings and the anniversaries, and a church to be with you when you're in your absolute darkest moments. A church to pray for you, to visit you, to provide food for you, to love you, to stand beside you, and to face life's challenges and blessings with you. If you aren't connected to a church today, then I can tell you firsthand, this church, April Sound Church, does that every single day. I encourage you to plug in and become part of something great here. Next Sunday is Easter. If you know someone who needs to find a church to walk along next to them, I encourage you to invite them. I'll be praying this week that God makes it clear who each of you should invite.